Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. And I am your host, Gary. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. What I want to take a look at this time, it was published by Gold Key Comics from 1968. This is a TV tie-in. This is Hanna-Barbera's Super TV Heroes. So let's see what little bit I've got in the big book of knowledge. Okay, in the 60s, of course, animation was relegated for kids, and animation ruled on Saturday mornings. And the king of animation at that time was Hanna-Barbera. They produced a whole bunch of animated shows, adventure and superhero stuff, because superheroes were getting really big in the 60s in the comics, and that carried over to the Saturday morning cartoons. And so Hanna-Barbera created a bunch of their own superheroes at that time, and they splashed across all three networks. These Hanna-Barbera shows did. Of course, they did. Oh, because the regular humor-oriented cartoons too. You know, like Yogi Bear, Flintstones, the Jetsons, all those, as well as these more adventure-oriented shows. So this is Hanna-Barbera's Super TV Heroes #2 from Gold Key Comics. It ran for 7 issues in 1968 and 69 on various creators. They get no credits whatsoever, and it's hard to find anything out. So I have no idea who wrote these stories. This is an anthology title. Each story is very short. The longest one is, what was it, 8 pages, and it varies from 8, 4, 5. One that is 3. I've forgotten, but it totaled up to a 24-page comic for a story. Correction, 28 pages. 28 pages of story. Okay, and the characters in this particular issue are Birdman, Galaxy Trio, Moby Dick, Shazam, the Herculoids, Mytor. But there are others that are not in this particular issue, but show up in other issues, like Young Samson and Space Ghost. And those two were 2 of my favorites. I wish they had been in here. I really liked the Herculoids and Mytor. I liked all of them. I didn't see so much of the of Birdman and Galaxy Trio because they were on a network that where I lived out in BFE. We were lucky to get 1.5 to 2 channels. And as this is before satellite dishes and cable. Okay, of course, it is his TV tie-in. It's a host of Hanna-Barbera animated shows, and they ran on all the networks. All of these characters were designed by the great comic artist Alex Toth, and he did a bunch of others. He did the design for all the superheroes for the Super Friends years later. He designed the characters in Scooby-Doo, including Scooby-Doo. He did some of the humor stuff too. But artists on the book, on these books, but this one I know was Russ Manning. He was probably with Mike Royer inking. There's a possibility of some Paul Norris and or Dan Spiegel, but I don't think they're in this issue. There's one that I was thinking might be Paul Norris, but the more I look at it, the more I think it was Russ Manning in that particular story, because they're all imitating Alex Toth's character designs and his style. So it kind of subverts their own style, but little hints show through. Little hints show through. And there's no telling who the writers were. So let us return and have a Saturday morning cartoon fest with Hanna-Barbera and the TV superheroes. Okay, here we go. Get a better look at the various images. And yeah, for those who, if you didn't hear me say it clearly enough, the one character is Shazam, not Shazam. This is of this Shazam is. I remember reading years ago about a little bit about this. Okay, used to watch that. He is a genie, and the magic word that brings him out of a magic ring is Shazam, and it is his name. That's with 2 Z's and an N. But I do remember reading, this might just be apocryphal, that when they were coming up with looking for creating this character and wanting a name, something that they could shout, they said, why not Shazam, like Captain Marvel, but they just change it slightly so that it is Shazam. Okay, and here you can see all these characters listed here. In the world of Hanna-Barbera at that time, all these characters coexisted in a shared universe, because they did occasionally have crossovers between their characters in the shows. And have one here. Let's get going. Birdman and the Galaxy Trio, prime example right there. I think they were actually on the same show, but at this time they were doing less of a single half-hour adventure story, and but rather a half-hour show with like 2 shorts of each. It would be 2 or, and the whole program would be 2 or 3 shorts of about 8 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes. And here you can see this is drawn by, I'm reasonably sure that this one is by Russ Manning. The others I am positive, because I can see his style coming through. But one of the telltales in this for me is the lettering and the way he does the balloons like that. Of course, Russ Manning, he is well known mostly by Tarzan fans, because he drew several issues of Tarzan for Gold Key before he was picked up to do the Tarzan newspaper comic strip, which is what he is best known for. And he did some other stuff. He created Magnus Robot Fighter and did that for several years. as well as doing Korak, son of Tarzan. So, an alert. This plane is about to crash into Birdman's hidden volcano hideout. And he rushes. His powers are kind of nebulous, but whatever he needs to do in the script comes down to stop that plummeting plane with his bird Avenger. And they work together, because even Avenger is super, to get that plane down or away from crashing. Meanwhile, the pilots are trying to crash the plane. He smashes through, ties them up, and he flies the plane and lands it. And said, "Oh, there's some guy. He did this thing to the pilots, and they tried to crash the plane, and he parachuted out." So Birdman goes to check out the guy who parachuted out, and this is kind of disgusting, but he breathes on Birdman. He said, "Birdman's features quickly darken in suicidal rage. I hate myself." And he goes flying to crash himself into tried to commit suicide into his crater hideout where he lays unconscious. And there's the chief on the monitor there. He's his boss on some secret organization. He said, "Uh-oh." He sees that he's in trouble, so he contacts the Galaxy Trio. This is Vapor Man, Gravity Girl, and Meteor Man. And then you can really see the Alex Toth imitation coming through here, especially like this, because many of these images are just recreations of some of the standard images from the show, and probably from the model sheets. They get down there, get him, and he's recovered. Oh, he's damn injured. I ache all over. Meanwhile, something else is going on. And two ships are trying to crash into each other, and Meteor Man goes down there using his weird old powers to help, and then Gravity Girl stopping all these people from jumping to their deaths from the top of a building using her gravity powers. And there's the guy. He takes off his mask. Whoosh! He's some kind of weird alien guy. He breathes on her, and she tries to commit suicide herself. But Vapor Man, that's a silly name. He puffs down and picks her up and back to the ship. And meanwhile, here's the mastermind behind it all. And that's a very Russ Manning looking figure. And the villain, the goon, gets into the spaceship, breathes on them, but instead of it working like they're supposed to, Meteor Man crashes his head out of the ship so he doesn't breathe in the air, then captures the guy, and then breathes him on the main villain, and then they hurl him off into space, where they will trouble no one ever again. So, just some fun, not very deep stories in these, but they are a lot of fun. And here, the Herculoids, I just love the Herculoids. The Vapor Vampire Invasion. We're not going to cover the whole thing. I just wanted to show you all the artwork, and if you're familiar with the Herculoids, because have come back a few times. Snort, snort, snort. Had Tundro, and then got the Rock Ape Igu, and Gloop and Gleep, and Zoc, the kind of a laser dragon, and Xandor, the head of the family, and he leads them all into their various combat against whatever villains. And Gloop and Gleep are kind of cool. They're just like silly putty. They defeat the enemy, and then the mighty Mitor, beware Skulllarva. Now this is the one where the Russ Manning stuff really shows through. This design of these critters really looks Russ Manning-ish, and I can see it in these figures, especially. I can see the Russ Manning in this figure here, and then the Mitor figure right here. Lots of adventure, fun and adventure. And then Moby Dick. I was never a big fan of the Moby Dick one. I don't think it lasted all that long. 2 kids with a white whale called Moby Dick fighting off a killer whale to save a seal. So let the shark, let the killer whale starve, I guess. Then Shazam. Get some really nice stuff here. Here you see the genie Shazam. This is when they put their rings together and cry Shazam. And then he whip, and Shazam appears, and he does his magic thing, and then the villain is revealed, and Shazam must use his mighty strength to save them. Whoop, with a little help from their enchanted flying camel. And that is that. Has a dinosaur. I always have put little informative and educational things in these books from Gold Key, as well as fun stuff like that. Little mini comics. And we'll be doing more Hanna-Barbera stuff, but unfortunately not in this title, because this is the only one I've got. You can see it's a kind of rough shape. It's a good reading copy. But I loved these shows when I was a kid. So that's what we've got for Hanna-Barbera's TV Superheroes. Or is it Super TV Heroes? I think it's Super TV Heroes. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. And remember, comics are art.